today's tutorial, I'm gonna teach you how you can create that extremely dope UI animation. If you go through the entire video, you're gonna have a much better understanding of how UI animations actually work. And on top of that, we're gonna apply camera movement, which is gonna spice up the entire edit. But before we begin, I just released an update of Motion Essence. I sincerely spent last month designing this pack and I believe it will change your editing game. Considering the amount of assets plus how easy it is to use will blow your mind. And let me just emphasize that every single person that has Motion Essence at this moment got a free update on their email. But if you're late to the party, you have still limited time to get it at half price. Just enter this code at the checkout and you will get that gigantic pack at half the price. So with that being said, let's get straight into Adobe After Effects. Alright, so we're back in the software. Let me just show you the comp settings. It's 1920 by 1080. I'm gonna hit OK. And the first thing we need is basically create a plus icon. So for this, I'm gonna go to the pen tool, I'm gonna create a point, and while holding shift, I'm gonna create another one. That way we're gonna get a straight line. And something I would like to do here is basically have the rounded ending. So for this, we're gonna head over to the line cap and we're gonna set it to round. Alright, seems really nice. I'm gonna recenter. And honestly, I feel like it's a bit too big. So for this, I'm gonna just change the size a bit. Okay, something like that should do. We can actually recenter it again. And what I'm gonna do is head over to the shape here and I'm gonna hit Ctrl D. Now we're gonna be able to actually rotate one part, but first what we need to do is make sure that our anchor point is in the middle. So let's select the whole layer, make sure you're selecting shape 2 and just put that anchor point in the middle. In case if you don't know where is the tool, it's over here. Now we're gonna be able to change it to 90 degrees without any errors. And that way we get a plus icon. Let's rename the layer. And I'm gonna click away. Alright, now we're gonna head over to the rounded rectangle tool and we're gonna create a shape around our plus. If you hold shift, you're gonna make it even. And then what we need to do is just recenter. And I feel like the corners are a bit too sharp. So for this, I'm gonna bump up the roundness and also I'm gonna rename it to frame. The next thing I would like to do is basically have control over both shapes. So for this, I'm gonna right click, go to new, and we're gonna pick new null object. I'm gonna rename to controller. And now we're gonna be able to parent these two layers to our controller. So if we move the position over here, everything is gonna move. So for starters, we're gonna set a keyframe for position. I'm gonna move it forward and then we're gonna drag the whole thing to the left. Okay, it's extremely slow. So for this, we're just gonna make it sharper. Now what you need to do is head over to the comment and copy the expression I left for you. So I'm gonna alt click the stopwatch for position and I'm gonna paste the expression from the comment. And that way it's gonna get bouncy. Pretty cool, let's make it a bit sharper. As for the plus icon, I'm gonna hit R and I'm gonna create a keyframe for rotation. I'm gonna move it forward and I'm gonna change the value to around -30. Then I'm gonna alt click the stopwatch here and I'm gonna paste the exact same expression. Alright, that starts to look pretty cool. Then our goal is gonna be to extend that frame and fill it out with the white color. So for this, I'm gonna open up properties. I'm gonna go to contents, rectangle 1, rectangle path 1, and we're gonna keyframe size. Make sure to uncheck constraint proportions and then we're gonna move forward and I'm gonna bump up the value. Just like so, we're gonna squeeze it in and here again we're gonna enter the same expression. It seems a bit too fast, so we're just gonna offset it a bit. Maybe even more. Yeah, perfect. Alright, so now we need to make sure that the fill color is turned on. So click on the eye over here. I'm gonna open it up. Let's change the color to white. Let's hit OK. And then what we need is set a keyframe for opacity. I'm gonna move it forward and the frame needs to be gradually filled out with white while it's extending. So for this, I'm gonna change the value to 0 and let's see now. Okay, that's actually pretty cool. Also, to add a little bit of extra spice, we're gonna keyframe rotation in our controller. So let's hit R and let's set a keyframe. We can actually hit U for everything and let's put it somewhere here. Then we're gonna change the value to, let's say -5. I'll move 2 frames forward and I'm gonna set it back to 0. Alright, and now we need to enter the same expression into the rotation over here. And this starts to look pretty cool. I'm gonna probably offset it a bit. And also I feel like I went overboard with this. I think maybe around -3.5, something along those lines should be fine. Alright, so this is pretty much perfect. And now what I would like to do is have a pointer. So basically we're gonna imitate clicking on the plus and that's when the frame is gonna extend. So for this we need to head over here. I'm gonna go for the start tool and I'm just gonna create a shape while holding shift. If you use the scroll wheel you can control the point. I'm gonna make sure it's a triangle. Then I'm gonna recenter. We can actually solo out this layer to make sure we're working with only that. And I'm gonna rename it to pointer. So now our goal is to basically change the rotation to 180. We can recenter it again, and I'm gonna open up Polystar 1, and here in the Polystar Path 1, I'm gonna right click. Now let's convert to Bezier path, and let's click on the path 1. We don't really need these 2 points, so I'm gonna delete them, but this one needs to go a bit higher. Okay, then let's select these 2 points, and I'm gonna hit Ctrl T, and when you see that icon, I'm gonna grab it and then hold Ctrl and Shift, and that way we're gonna be able to squeeze it in, and it already starts to remind of a pointer. I just feel like an extra touch here could be adding round corners. So for this, make sure you're in the contents, go to add round corners, and that way it worked perfectly fine. I just feel like we could set it to around 5. I'm gonna click on the layer again, and what we need to do is turn on fill, change the color to white. Let's hit OK. And then what we need to do is definitely decrease the stroke width, and we're gonna change the stroke color to, let's say, almost black. Let's hit OK. Alright, once everything's done, we need to make sure that the top of the pointer is exactly in the middle over here. But also we're gonna play around with rotation a bit. Okay, something like that should do. And then I'm gonna hold Shift, click P, and we're gonna create keyframes for position and rotation. Alright, let's move it somewhere here. Here should be perfect. And now I'm gonna move the pointer to the left in the beginning. Let's drag it lower. And also we're gonna change rotation. Maybe to something like that. Okay, so this looks pretty dope. The thing is that we need to apply easy ease effect to this. So make sure to select all 4 keyframes and hit F9. Now with that being done, we're gonna head over to the graph editor. I'm gonna fit the graph and I'm gonna drag it to the left. Now something we want to do is go to our pointer, hit S, and we're gonna create a keyframe for scale. So we need to perform the clicking movement. So make sure it's somewhere here, and then 2 frames forward, we're gonna decrease the value. I'm gonna move forward again, and I'm gonna change it back to 100. And the thing to make it even more realistic, we could actually head over to frame and plus, and we can parent their scale to the scale in the pointer. So just grab the pig whip and parent it here. You see now the whole thing has that push effect. Now what we want to do around this position, we want to create a keyframe for position and rotation in our pointer. The goal with the pointer is to drag it upwards, and while it's going up there, it's also extending the frame. So in order to extend the frame, we need to go to our layer over here. I'm gonna open it up. Let's go to transform, and we're gonna keyframe position. Then I'm gonna close it down. I'm gonna go to contents, rectangle 1, rectangle path 1, and we're gonna create another keyframe for size. So that way we've created 2 keyframes, and I'm gonna align them with these 2 newly created. Alright, before we do anything else, it's quite important to open up rulers. So just click here, and now you can drag one line over here and make sure it's aligned with the bottom part of our frame. This is quite important. So now we need to perform an upwards movement with the pointer. So I'm gonna make sure that the playhead is somewhere here. I'm gonna drag it upwards, maybe to the left, just like so. And then we're gonna change rotation. Let's see. We need to select these 4, and I'm gonna apply easy ease. Let's go ahead and click on the graph editor, and we're gonna create a peak in the middle. It's probably a bit too sharp. Let's see now. Yeah, I'm just gonna fix it a bit. Alright, that's pretty cool. I'm just gonna grab these keyframes and I'm gonna offset them a bit, just to have that bouncing effect finish. Even more. And now it's important to extend that frame to the point of the pointer, So I'm gonna drag the position somewhere here to the middle, and then I'm gonna bump up the Y value in the size. Okay, let's adjust the Y. Maybe a bit of size again. I'll probably drag it upwards and then extend size again. And I try to make sure that the line is staying on the bottom part and that the top part is together with the pointer. And now what we need to do is make sure that the frame is following the pointer. So for this, we're gonna select these 4 keyframes. I'm gonna hit F9. Let's go to the graph editor. And here, we're gonna probably drag it to the right. Remember that the constraint proportions is turned off, so you need to adjust manually each yellow dot over here. So I'm gonna align it with this one. Okay, starts to look pretty cool. I'm gonna drag it like that. But in my opinion, it starts a bit too early. As you can notice, the frame is extending even if the pointer is not on top of it. So for this, I'm gonna select these keyframes and I'm gonna drag them to the right. Okay, that looks a bit better. We probably need to squeeze them to the middle. I think it looks actually pretty cool. So whenever you're doing that, you just need to find the sweet spot. There's gonna be quite a bit of playing around. Alright, so that's how the keyframes are presenting. And now the thing we need to do is to drag another line and align it with the top, just like so. Alright, so now what I want you to do is create another controller. So we're gonna pick a new null object and I'm gonna rename it to controller, actually pointer controller. Now don't parent anything before you do this. So let's go ahead and click on the pointer controller. I'm gonna hit Y, or you can just click here again, and I'll drag our anchor point and put it in the middle of our pointer, just like so. And then once that's done, we can actually parent the pointer to the pointer controller. Let's open up all the keyframes. I'm gonna select the pointer controller and I'm gonna hit P, then hold Shift, click R. Let's set keyframes for both of these values. And the reason why we pick the null object is to overlap the movement. So that way, before this movement is finished, we're gonna start another one, which is gonna give us that smooth look. So let's move forward and I'm gonna drag Y position downwards, then maybe to the left, and then we're gonna rotate our pointer. Okay, so that's how it's looking. And definitely we need to apply the mid graph. So I'm gonna easy ease, go to the graph editor, and I'm gonna do the same thing. Alright, pretty cool. We might actually need to drag it a bit forward. And that seems to be good. Then what we need to do is extend the other side. So for this, I'm gonna create keyframes for size and position in our frame. So I'm gonna select these two, copy and paste them. Then we need to have them started when the pointer is on top of the bottom line. So I'm gonna drag these keyframes here, move forward, and we're gonna again change the Y position and then bump up the size unless we got it aligned with the top line. So the bottom line is not in our interest anymore, and we just need to make sure that the top of the frame is aligned with the line over here, and then the bottom line is aligned with the pointer. Okay, something like that should do. It's almost perfect. We just need to play around with the graph. So select these four and we're gonna apply easy ease effect. I'm gonna squeeze it to the middle. Okay, as I'm playing it back, I can tell that it's too late. So for this, I'm gonna select these. I'm gonna drag them to the left. Okay, let's adjust these. Yeah, actually it's ideal. And also we don't need the rulers anymore, so you can turn them off. Also the guides. And we need to overlap the keyframes for the pointer again. But this time we don't need to create another controller. We can rather overlap the movement from the main layer, which is the pointer over here. So I'm gonna set a keyframe for position and rotation. I'm gonna move forward. And then I'm gonna change rotation to something like that. Let's move here with the X to the right, maybe even higher. Yeah, that seems to be pretty good. And as you can notice, we got that overlap effect over here on this position. Okay, but we obviously need to adjust it a bit. I'm gonna also apply the mid graph. That's the one. Okay, it seems good. And now we're gonna create a movement with the rotation and also with position, but we're gonna stay with the main layer. So for this, I'm just gonna drag it upwards and then we're gonna change rotation. Let's go to the graph editor and we need to select these two keyframes and I'm gonna apply F9. Then I'm gonna select these and I'm gonna drag it to the left. Just like so. It's a bit too slow, so we're just gonna squeeze it in. And let me just do it one more time. Actually, this seems to be pretty good. And now is the time for the text. So I'm gonna hit Ctrl T and I'm gonna type in new video. Let's go ahead and change the color to black to have a nice separation with the white. I'm gonna definitely change the font size and I'm gonna recenter the text. Just as I'm looking at the pointer, I feel like we could change the final position. So make sure to select these two keyframes, have the playhead on one of them, and we're just gonna adjust it a bit. Okay, a bit lower over here. All right. That seems to be good. And now we would need a text animation for our new video. So for this, I'm gonna trim it somewhere to this position when we got that movement. And then what we need to do is open it up, go to animate, and we're gonna pick position. Let me click it again. And I'm gonna change the value over here to 125. Then I'm gonna go to add property and we're gonna pick opacity. I'm gonna change it to 0. Let's open up range selector 1. We're gonna go to advanced. And here what we need to do is change the shape to ramp up. and then we're gonna go ahead and change E-slow to 100%. Then we're gonna change the offset to -100%. I'm gonna click on the stopwatch. Let's move forward and we're gonna change it to 100%. So that way we're gonna get a nice smooth movement. Okay, that looks pretty cool. I'm just gonna speed it up. And this is literally perfect. Here's the thing, we got the text on top of the pointer, so we need to reorder things. So I'm gonna drag the new video below the pointer, and that way we got it all set. Also, let's do it now. I'm gonna add drop shadow to the pointer to just create a bit of separation over here. I'm gonna change the distance to 0 and I'm gonna bump up the softness to 150. Then also, as for the pointer, I'm gonna hit T, click the stopwatch, move forward, change it to 0. That way it's gonna disappear. And now what I would like to do, around this time when the pointer is disappearing, I'm gonna go to frame, let's hit U. I'm gonna keyframe size, I'm gonna move forward, and let's go ahead and change it to small frame. Okay, that's pretty cool. I'm just gonna select these two keyframes. Let's open up graph editor. I'm gonna fit the graph. Where is it? And basically all we need to do is create a mid graph. So I'm gonna apply it. And let's see. Yeah, nice. And as you can notice, we got that remaining plus in the background. So for this, we can actually trim it when it's not visible. So somewhere here should be fine. And I'll just go to our text, and in the middle of that movement of the frame, I'm gonna hit Ctrl+Shift+D, I'll double click, go here, and I'm gonna change the font style to Montserrat Black. Alright, let's decrease the font size. And also I'm gonna change the text to Out Now. Now we actually need to bump up the font size. I'm gonna recenter. This seems to be pretty good. I'm just gonna adjust the position of the video. Something like that should do. Yeah, just one thing here in the text, I'm gonna make it a bit faster. Okay, something like that should do. And then also we need the opacity for the pointer. So now we're gonna take care of my favorite part, which is basically playing around with the camera movement. So for this, I'm gonna right click, go to New, Camera. Let's leave a preset of 35mm. I will hit OK. I will change the position of the camera to the bottom, and then right click, go to New, Null Object, rename to Cam Control, and I'll parent the camera to the null. I'll change the color so it's clear. And now make sure to turn on 3D on everything. Then let's go to the beginning. I'm gonna click on the Cam Control, hit P, create a keyframe for position. And actually, you know what? We're gonna drag that keyframe forward and we're gonna get closer. Alright, that's pretty cool. I just need to have a mid graph over here. So here you have it. I'll squeeze it in for a sharper movement. I kinda wanna zoom out whenever we got that click effect. Too late. Okay, that's pretty cool. I'll probably just zoom out a bit, just like so. And then the best part, we're gonna follow the pointer with the camera. So for this, I'm gonna duplicate Cam Control 1, hit U, delete the last keyframe, parent 1 to 2, and now we need to figure out where the movement for the pointer starts. So it's somewhere here, so I'm gonna move it forward, and then around this position, we need to change Y value. Okay, let's see now. Not bad. I'll probably apply the mid graph over here. Here you will need to play around with the timing so it's perfect. Okay, in my opinion, not bad. I'll probably extend it a bit more. And then I'm gonna duplicate it, hit U, delete the last keyframe, move it forward, then parent 2 to 3, and we're gonna move downwards. Now we need to adjust the timing so the pointer starts moving around here. And let's see now. Ooh, starts to look pretty cool. What I'm gonna do is create another Cam Control. Let's hit U, delete the last keyframe, parent 3 to 4, and move it forward again. And here what I want to do is have the camera go up whenever we got the pointer movement, which is this one over here. Alright, so I'm gonna move it forward, and then we're gonna get back to the middle. We can actually use the action save, and this should be perfect. I'll probably apply the mid graph again. I'll extend it a bit, and then what we need to do is create another Cam Control, hit U, delete the last keyframe, parent 4 to 5, move forward, and basically we need to zoom in whenever the frame is scaling down. So let's go ahead and do that. And I'm gonna apply again a mid graph. Now it's important. I'm gonna take these two texts and I'm gonna parent them to our controller over here. So nothing's changed, but if we open up the controller, I mean hit U for this, we can copy these keyframes for Z rotation and paste them here, right at that change. Okay, you see what I'm talking about. All right, let's adjust it a bit. I'm gonna turn off action save, and then I'm gonna create a new adjustment layer, and I'm gonna apply one of the shakes from my pack, which is basically Sallow Breeze. Alright, that actually looks pretty sick. Now we'll add a little bit of dynamics by heading over to the camera, then to transform, and we need to alt click the stopwatch for point of interest. I'm gonna type in wiggle, and in brackets let's add 1, let's say 12. Alright, so this is gonna wiggle the camera, which is gonna make it more realistic. I'm gonna rename it to shake. Now one of the best parts, which is turning on the motion blur. Let's see how it looks. Alright, one thing I would like to add here is basically glow or deep glow for the plus. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I'll decrease the values a bit, just like so. Then I'm gonna keyframe exposure, hit U, and right before the plus is gone, we need to light it up. So that's where it's gonna be. I'm gonna move backwards, and here it's gonna be set to 0. It's gonna give us an extra touch. We could light it up even earlier, and this is looking really good. And from here you could spice it up. For example, we could add something to the frame. Let's go for gradient ramp. And as for the top color, I'm gonna pick something yellow, like bright yellow. Alright, let's hit OK. And then as for the end color, let's go for something brown. I'm gonna hit OK. And then again to the frame, we're gonna add CC light sweep. Let's add it. I'm gonna change it to smooth, bump up the width. Let's put it somewhere here. I'm gonna definitely change the edge thickness. And then also to the pointer, we could, for example, add bevel alpha. So we take a look at it, but first let me just put it on top of the drop shadow. And let's bump up the edge thickness. It's gonna kind of get like 3D. Alright, so this is just an extra spice. I'll probably turn it off. I prefer the white version, to be honest. It's looking more minimalistic. So here you have the final result, an extremely dope animation. Hopefully you learned a lot of things today. And like I said before, you can still get motion essence at half the price. So I'd probably get it because it's a steal considering the amount of assets that are in the pack. So that'll be it for today, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers guys.